So welcome to the Road to 2030 World Expo. And this week, listeners, we're expanding our Expo knowledge by taking this deep dive into Expo history. And I've invited an expert, the executive director of the Sainsbury Centre for Visual Arts. This is Professor of Art History, Paul Greenhalgh. Welcome.
Hello.
So let's go back. So could you describe the World's Fair during its golden age?
The first one was in London, in fact, in 1851.
Right.
Really, right from the very start, the idea was that you bring as much produce of industry and culture. Then after London, there were enormous expos running through the late 19th century. Believe it or not, maybe the greatest one was in Paris in 1900, and 51 million people visited. And at the time, the population of France was only 36 million.
Wow.
So more than the whole population of the country went to this one expo, which makes museum people like myself very jealous. And it's really about promoting the city. It's about building new infrastructure. So I think Busan, it's first of all, it's perfect for Korea, in my view. One of the great fast-moving world economies, and we all know what Hyundai is, and we all love Korean food. I think an expo, especially in one of its most beautiful cities, Busan, would be brilliant and would have a fantastically powerful effect internationally.
You told us in detail what significance expos have on their hosting cities, and those are the benefits that we wish to reap from these events. But at the same time, a lot of humanity's significant inventions came out of or were unveiled at these expos. So could you tell us about some of them and background on how they came to be?
Yes, a lot of the great inventions which have made the modern age, they first really emerged in World's Fairs. Like electricity, in the late 19th century, really starting most with Chicago in 1893, the Great Chicago World's Fair, the Great Expo, was lit by electricity, and people found it shocking. The motor car, the car really made its most powerful entry into the world in Paris 1900, in Buffalo in 1901. And in others. So a lot of the great inventions, especially to do with building the city, happened then. The very original, the first World's Fair in London in 1851, they built a giant glass and iron building. It became known as the Crystal Palace.
Yes.
The Crystal Palace, many people see as being really the beginnings of modern architecture. Expo can push technology. I would say also that Korea, many of us now think of the Koreans as being technologically advanced compared to the tragedy that we've just been through, the pandemic. The way that the Koreans have managed it using technology has led the world in many people's views. So I could imagine a Busan Expo which would have cutting edge new technology, artificial intelligence and so forth. But also, I think, in the case of Korea, we need to see more of Korean art and culture, and Korean history would be a wonderful thing to have on the international stage. So I have been an official for BIE a few times in Shanghai and in Aichi, the expo in Japan in the 90s. And so BIE, I think important that Busan forms a relationship with BIE. They're very nice people, and make it and make the fair official. That way, immediately, the world will come immediately.
So, in the 21st century, what meanings do these expos hold for us now?
It's a very interesting question. I think the great expos of the 1960s, Brussels 1958. Montreal, 1967, were amazingly successful expos. I mean, Canada really gave itself its identity from that expo, and we still think of it that way. Likewise, Brussels became the center of Europe because of that great expo. So And if we said that I would much prefer to be sitting in Busan talking to you than sitting in a cold, rainy England. But once again, it's becoming very fashionable to travel and to go to the real place and experience the real country and the real city. So my sense is that once we're through the pandemic completely, travel once again will be back, and an expo will become a good expo will become a wonderful destination.
All right. Yes. And hopefully come in 9 years, you and I could be sitting in the same studio and having another conversation during the 2030 Busan World Expo.
I look forward to that. Bye-bye.
Bye.